Hi everyone, it's Kaylin Sparkle. So today, as you can notice, I'm going to review my best childhood moments of all times, Sarah Jane Adventures. So, so let's just say that Sarah Jane Adventure is actually like a children sort of spin-off show to Doctor Who. And there's another one that's also a spin-off to Doctor Who, and it's called Torchwood. Well, that is like mainly for the grown-ups because there may have some things that you guys might don't like violence and swearing or things. But don't get me wrong. Well, let's just focus on Sarah Jane because Sarah Jane Adventures is specifically it's for the younger audience, like kids, teenagers, and young adults, stuff like that. So don't get me wrong, because there are many um, adults seem to be watching Sarah Jane's Adventures too. So let's just say that Sarah Jane Adventures has been on our screen since 2007 until the actual TV series came out sometime the months later. Because I just remembered this special called Sarah Jane Adventures Invasion of the Bane. That's the pilot special in like introduced how, well sort of like the story about Sarah Jane or what her adventure was like after her life you know after her life has been changed ever since the whole thing with the doctor. She has been you know having her life as normal until this moment, until the Jackson family and Maria, the teenager, and that's how she first met Sarah Jane, because Maria was a new neighbor in Bannerman Road, and to be honest, I kind of like that special because I just like the way how the story goes. Because I just remember the scene when Maria saw an alien in Sarah Jane's garden. I can't remember the name of it, but I just remember that there's an alien in Sarah Jane's garden that night. And so let's just say I always get spooked by that alien thingy. Because what I'm trying to say is, because as a kid, I did used to get scared of it, but I'm not that scared of it anymore. But sometimes watching all these things again can sometimes just make your memories come back to haunt you. So I guess I'm not the only one. So let's just say I just remember that scene so well, I just remember it. Yeah. And I also just remember the whole scene of this invasion of the Bane special thing. And so basically that's the whole point because Sarah Jane also met a boy, even though he hasn't got the name at 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 this whole moment, because he hasn't got the name in the special until the very end, named Luke. So let's just say that at the end, Sarah Jane adopted him, so and that makes her Luke's adopted mother. And so let's just say that's how the alien gang has become, because Maria was curious for Sarah Jane from the very beginning because their chains had this sort of thing with aliens and monsters. So you can't really blame Sarah Jane because she has been traveling space and time with the Doctor from the 70s. If you have seen and watched some of the episodes with Sarah Jane from Doctor Who, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. The Sarah Jane was a character as it originally from the Doctor Who series. If you haven't seemed to watch these episodes with Sarah Jane from Doctor Who, that's totally fine. You can always watch them on either YouTube or Dailymotion because, well, I would say that Dailymotion it could be the better one because they, because they bring all the old episodes back. Well, some of them, but sometimes some of the episodes can be lost. So that's all I'm saying. So let's just focus on Sarah Jane Adventure. So Sarah Jane Adventures actually been on CBBC channel since 2007. And then if I had to be honest, I just remember there was a character called Kelsey. She only appeared in Invasion of the Bane, but she was later replaced by Clyde Langer. You might you might know the guy who plays him called Daniel Anthony. I think yeah, that's his name. And he's been in all different kind of shows and all kinds, I believed, until he was well, playing the actual character Clyde Langer in Sarah Jane Adventures. And that's how I remember him actually, because I always remember him from Sarah Jane because he's the best. And he's actually very funny. He's very talented. He he knows what he's doing. He always gets the lines right, and he always seems to like get the things right and all kinds and all that. So all I'm saying that Clyde Langer is the sort of replacement for Kelsey. So that's what I'm saying. Because Clyde Langer actually only appeared from the actual series. It first appeared on the episode Revenge of Levine, Part 1 and Part 2, and that's how we met Clyde Langer. So if you guys know who's Daniel Anthony who plays Clyde Langer, I'm pretty sure some of you already know him sometime before. So I also going to mention that Sarah Jane Adventures, well, let's just say, is one of the popularest children's shows of all time, along with Tracy Beaker and on all kinds, on all sorts, like Basil Brush, something like that. I can't think anymore. Oh, there's Chuckle Brothers. I'm sure you guys might hear of that, Chuckle Brothers. I don't really find them funny in my respective opinion because, as in personal opinion, because I don't really watch Brothers as guys do, including my own sister when she was younger. But believe me, I'm not really a fan of the Choco Brothers that much, since you guys already know because I already explained that I'm not, as in, do not find them very funny that. And I'm sorry if I actually offend you guys who likes the Choco Brothers. I just want you guys to understand that I don't find them very funny. It's okay if you guys find them funny, but for me, no. And it is kind of sad for those who likes the Choco Brothers that the guy who Barry, I think his name was, he sadly passed away. You guys remember that from years ago? Feel sorry for that guy. Even the other guy, his brother. I mean, so sad. So let's just focus on Sarah Jane saying. And, and if you guys know Elizabeth Sladen, aka Sarah Jane, well, let's just say Elizabeth Sladen has been playing Sarah Jane ever since from Doctor Who from the 70s until she re- reprised her role as Sarah Jane once again, but for the actual spin-off. Um, but sadly, until the actual TV show of Sarah Jane has sort of like cancelled back in 2011, and that's the only reason why it was cancelled for a reason because due of the passing of the late Elizabeth Sladen. So she has cancer, I believe. I actually feel sad. I mean, like, how could she die sort of like so sudden? I mean, sometimes wish she comes back, even though she can't come back because that's not how life works. But believe me, I know the only one who misses and loves Sarah Jane, well, Elizabeth Sladen, because she is the best actress or character of the Doctor Who too. I mean, I always miss Sarah Jane, and sadly, Elizabeth Sladen isn't the only one who also passed away. I believe there's an audio series of Sarah Jane Adventures. You never guess what? Sarah Jane died too. I mean, what? I only just found out about like a couple of months ago this year, and I was sad. So let's just say, well, they have to kill off Sarah Jane, and at some point because they did the same thing for Jane Brown with him and her character Dot Branning from EastEnders recently, and it's coming out tomorrow. The episode, the funeral. So that's what. So the so I just remember every episode. I just remember every characters of all Anna, and I also remember all the aliens and monsters. And let's just gonna say I'm going to mention some of them. So I'm going to mention some of the characters that some of you guys probably already know that I already know, and some of those who have not known. So, yeah, so like I already mentioned, Sarah Jane, who was played by the late Elizabeth Sladen, so you guys already know that. And I also mentioned Clyde Langer, who was played by Daniel Anthony, and I also mentioned Luke, Sarah Jane's son, well, adopted son, played by Tommy Knight. And there's also a girl, well, I think I already mentioned it already, Maria, and she was played by Yasmin Page. Yeah, I just remember her. And I also remember another character, but she was like sort of like placement for Maria because Maria kind of left in on season two's first episode in The Last on Torrent. The only reason why Yasmin left because she wanted to focus on her studying in school and all kinds. So just say it's sort of like education. So just got sort of like placed by this girl called Angeli Van Hindra. Yeah, that's her name. And and also there's another new character, and you might not going to expect it, but there's also another female character, but she's also been adopted by Sarah Jane. Well, so let's just go to explain this, and it might confuse some of you guys. So believe me or not, but her name was Sky, and she was a baby from the very beginning when she first appeared in season 5, episode Sky, part 1 and 2. Well, in the part 1, she first appeared as a baby, but until at the very end of that episode, until the part 2, she just transformed into a teenage girl. I mean, seriously? How could she be a baby and then become a teenager? That's just kind of confusing. So don't get me wrong, 'cause I know some of you guys may agree with this. Like, how can a character has to be a baby from the very beginning before turning into an actual teenager? Oh boy. So yeah, and the girl, well, the teenager who plays Sky, her name was Sanit Michael. So I just remember her from season 5. And so let's just say that she's sort of like for the replacements for Luke season 5 series, but even though she's not like fully replacing Luke, she's just like another adopted child of Sarah Jane. But Luke did return from season 4, and then he returned in season 5. The last episode called um The Man Who Never Was, part 1 and part 2. So that's the last episode of season 5, and I already explained that that's the very last episode season because due to the passing of the late Sladen. So I'm going to explain some of the episodes that I personally like. Well, basically that I mostly remembered. So I'm going to mention that I also remembered the episode Revenge of the Levine, even though I already mentioned before, and there's also Eye of the Gorgon. So can I just explain that each of the episodes has part 1, part 2 on each season? So, like I said, Revenge of Slavine, Eye of the Gorgon, Warriors of Codlac, whatever happened to Sarah Jane, the Lost Boy, till season 2 with The Last Santorin, The Day of Clown, Secrets of Stars, Fog of Lurker, The Temptation of Sarah Jane Smith. That's the episode when Sarah Jane sort of went back in time when she united with her parents when they were still alive at the time before they sort of drive away and abandon her when she was only a baby. And there's another episode with the last the enemy of the Bane. So and then until season 3 with episodes Prisoner of the Jejune, The Mad Woman in the Attic, The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith with the appearance with David Tennant as the 10th Doctor, and The Eternity Trap, Mona Lisa's Revenge, The Gift. And then until season 4, there's the episode called The Nightmare Man, The Vault of Secrets, Death of the Doctor, and that's the episode with the appearance with Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor. And then after that, it's the Empty Planet, Lost in Time, Goodbye Sarah Jane Smith, and then until season 5, there's episode Sky, and The Curse of Clyde Langer, and The Man Who Never Was. So these are the episodes from each season of Sarah Jane's Adventures franchise of media. So for the episodes that I personally remembered throughout my childhood, and I'm sure some of you guys might remember the episodes too. And so yeah, I also going to mention some of the aliens and monsters. So 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 you might remember some of the things that I already mentioned from the episode's titles, and they are Slovenes. Oh, don't like them that much when I was a kid, but I'm growing out of it now. And there's also the Gorgon. It's sort of like sort of I don't know whether it is an alien or a monster, but I believe the Gorgon is like sort of you might hear the myth or a legend about the Gorgon, and it's sort of like this sort of thingy that like reveals the eyes and sort of like turns you into stone. You might it might remind you of some of the cartoons that you might also watch sometime or whatever. And and I also remember Kodlak. Kodlak is sort of like an alien, and he sort of had this sort of thingy working in this sort of like a game place where all the children goes and plays. It's like Laser Quest, but it's slightly different because Hulk is actually trying to kidnap all the children because his boss told him to. It was like, why kidnapping the children? It's like that movie from the 80s. He wanted to kidnap the children and keep them to all to himself. I don't remember the name now, but I just know that there was a movie about it. I don't really watch it because I believe my mom and dad told me it's actually sort of like a PG sort of movie, but it is for the children, of course, but basically some children may get scared of that movie, so I rather not watch it, to be honest. I also remember another alien, and he is a trickster. Oh yeah, the trickster. Oh, he's such a tricky and sneaky trickster. He likes to trick everyone, like the whole people, especially Sarah Jane. Ugh, I never liked him because as a kid I used to get scared of him because the way he looked. You might guys find not going to expect what he's gonna look like if you search him, well, because he's the creepiest. I don't really like him that much, to be honest, because he's a trickster after all, because he tricks everyone. Hey. And I also remember um think. Laugharines. Um, I don't know if you guys might remember them, but they're sort of like a different sort of family to the Slovenes because they're not related to Slovenes like at all. I just remember the actual episode of, and it is kind of quite confusing. Like, how come they're not related, even though they are quite the same, but they got different skin color? Because Blavary is sort of like a mix of brown and orange sort of color, while Slovenes are green. So that's all I'm saying. And there's a nightmare man. Oh, I never liked him. He's such an annoying. And the way he talks, I mean, ugh, give me a break, will ya? And and he and he likes to keep scaring the children, especially Luke, because Luke was scared of leaving his friend and his family and everything that he has done in his life with you know, Sarah Jane and his friends, Maria and Bonnie Clyde, all kinds. Sorry if my voice sounds a bit croaky in this recording because I keep getting a bit this dry throat. I'm sure you guys can able to ignore that, like I can. So I just remember every time when that nightmare man keeps trying to haunt Luke about his nightmare of leaving, whole adventures that he has done through his life and years. So trying to think. I do remember a DVD I used to have of Sarah Jane, season 2, season 3, season 4, and season 5. But I never really had a DVD of season 1 until probably years ago. So that's all that. I just remember each DVD of it. I still, and I even got an actual full collection DVD. It's like just well, a big DVD cover with all with different discs in it for each season. And basically, Sarah Jane Adventure has always been the best of my time of my childhood. I just remember every single character, episodes, storylines. And I also remember the June. The Junes sort of like rhinos, but they're actually like talking rhinos, and they are places. And well, believe me, they're not literally like the police. Quite different because they have like guns. They have sort of like scans to scan you whether if you're sort of like an alien. If you remember the episode from Doctor Who called Smith and Jones. So and oh, I can't really think any more information I could possibly remember or talk about here. I was trying to say that Sarah Jane will always be the best of everyone's childhood, and and we will always remember Sarah Jane all the time. Because, like, forever, all the way permanently, I just never forget Sarah Jane because she'll always be my favorite, especially on CBBC channel. Because it always used to be go on to channel all the time. And I also remember some of these commercials, as in like trailers, adverts, and all kinds about Sarah Jane, including Doctor Who. And so that's all I'm saying. And you know, I if I had to be honest, how I first started watching Sarah Jane, I kind of was like around 6 or something, because like I said, Sarah Jane did sort of came out back in 2007, so I'll be 6 at the time when Sarah Jane came out. So I just remember the whole series. Yeah. Hmm. So I hope you guys like my video. And if you wanted to ask me any types of questions you like, you know, talk about Sarah Jane or things that you need to know, be free to do so in the comments because I always like answering your questions. That's why I keep saying be free to share your questions because I really wanted to answer some of your questions because if you're interested about Sarah Jane Adventures or Doctor Who, be free to do so in the comments. So, saying, and like I said, if you like my video, free to like and press the notification bell to receive my videos every day. So I'll catch you guys very later. And if I have any more information from Sarah Jane, I'll probably might make a part two or something. I don't know for sure, but that's all. Okay. So catch you guys later. Yeah. Bye.